There's a game being played behind every headline, every viral moment, and every celebrity comeback, and most people never even realize they're watching it. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's PR. And a handful of celebrities have turned it into an art form so sharp, so calculated, that what looks effortless to the public is actually a masterclass in controlling perception. These aren't just famous people who got lucky with good press. These are 10 individuals who looked at chaos, scandal, or total public collapse and turned it into a power move. Here's how they did it. Taylor Swift, the queen of reinvention. Most pop stars run from controversy. Taylor Swift runs toward it, wraps it in a bow, drops it as an album, and watches it hit #1. When the internet declared war on her around 2016, when the Kanye snake situation exploded, when headlines were calling her calculated and fake, a lesser artist would have disappeared. Instead, Swift vanished intentionally. No interviews, no social media, total silence. And then, right when people started to forget, she came back as a completely different persona, darker, sharper, unbothered with reputation. The album went platinum within days. What Swift understood that others don't is that your public image is a story, and the best authors control the narrative before someone else does. Every album era is a chapter she's written herself, down to the Easter eggs, fan theories, and cultural moments she plants on purpose. She doesn't just respond to her critics, she monetizes them. And that's a level of PR chess that very few people have ever figured out. But Swift's game wasn't just about music. It was about longevity, and the next person on this list operates at an even more mysterious level. Beyoncé's silence is power. While every other celebrity floods social media with daily content, Beyoncé barely says a word. And somehow, that silence is louder than anything else in the industry. When the elevator video leaked showing her sister Solange attacking Jay-Z, the internet exploded with speculation about her marriage, her loyalty, her relationship. A normal celebrity would have done an interview, issued a statement, got on damage control. Beyoncé released Lemonade, an entire visual album about marital conflict, infidelity, black womanhood, and personal power told entirely on her terms, in her voice, through her art. What she did wasn't just PR, it was preemptive PR as art. She told her own story before the tabloids could hijack it, and she did it in a way that generated over 115 million streams in its first week on Tidal alone. She didn't just survive the scandal, she turned it into one of the most critically acclaimed albums of the decade. That is what PR mastery looks like at its absolute ceiling. Not everyone plays the long game, though. Some celebrities learned that the fastest way to control a story is to simply shock you into forgetting the old one. Kim Kardashian turning shock into an empire. Before Kim Kardashian, nobody thought you could build a billion-dollar brand out of controversy. She proved everyone wrong repeatedly. The 2014 Paper magazine cover designed to break the internet was not a spontaneous moment. It was a calculated media campaign timed to hit cultural conversations about body image, fame, and female power all at once. The image went everywhere. The shock factor was the point, and instead of the outrage hurting her brand, it amplified it. Kim understood something most celebrities never grasp. Attention, not approval, is the real currency. From a leaked tape that could have destroyed her to Skims becoming a billion-dollar shapewear line, every chapter of her public life has been strategically framed. She turned her family's reality show into a media empire, her scandals into brand moments, and her critics into free advertising. She didn't just survive the trolls, she outsmarted them, incorporated them, and cashed the check. But sometimes the smartest PR move isn't shock value, it's a courtroom, a camera, and letting the truth do the work. Johnny Depp, the trial that became a comeback tour. Few celebrities have had a more dramatic public fall than Johnny Depp. And even fewer have managed to flip it so completely. After years of being labeled the villain following his legal battle with ex-wife Amber Heard, Depp did something nobody expected. He went public, let the cameras roll, and trusted the audience to make up their own minds. The 2022 defamation trial became one of the most watched courtroom events in history. Social media turned it into a cultural flashpoint, with millions rallying behind him. And when the verdict came in his favor, it wasn't just a legal win, it was a full reputation reset. He walked out of that courtroom and onto the Cannes Film Festival red carpet months later, where Jean du Barry earned him a 7-minute standing ovation. From professional exile to a new studio deal, a film with Penelope Cruz, and a major role as Ebenezer Scrooge, Depp's PR comeback wasn't manufactured. It was authentic, raw, and real. And the public responded in a way no PR agent could have scripted. Sometimes the comeback isn't built in a boardroom, it's built in a breakdown. And nobody understands that better than the next person on this list. Demi Lovato making vulnerability a superpower when Demi Lovato's personal struggles became public: the eating disorders, the mental health battles, the near-fatal health emergency in 2018, the entertainment world braced for a career collapse. What happened instead was something nobody predicted. Her PR team made one of the boldest calls in modern celebrity management. They leaned in. Instead of hiding the story or spinning it with vague statements, we can tell the story in a clear and honest way. Lovato spoke about her diagnosis, her recovery, and her identity on YouTube, in documentaries, in interviews. She didn't present a curated recovery narrative. She presented a messy, honest, ongoing human story. And fans responded with more loyalty than she'd ever had before. What Lovato demonstrated is that the most powerful form of PR is sometimes radical honesty. In an industry where everyone is airbrushed and managed, her willingness to show up imperfect turned her from a Disney kid into a symbol of resilience and empowerment. She didn't protect her brand by hiding. She rebuilt it by being seen fully, painfully, honestly. The result was a transformation that no spin doctor alone could have engineered. From vulnerability to shock, the next celebrity on this list took the opposite approach and made an entire career out of making you uncomfortable. Lady Gaga engineering the unforgettable when Lady Gaga showed up to the 2010 MTV VMAs in a dress made of raw meat. The world lost its mind. And that was entirely the point. The meat dress wasn't random. It was a statement about military policy, about identity, about the cost of being treated like a product, and it was timed perfectly to coincide with one of the biggest nights in music. Every angle was covered. The visual shock, the message, the conversation, it would spark. Gaga didn't just want attention. She wanted specific attention, the kind that made people debate, analyze, and remember. What separates Gaga from celebrities who simply do stunts is that every provocative move she makes connects back to a larger message about art, identity, and authenticity. She built a fan base, the little monsters who don't just consume her music, they identify with it. That kind of loyalty doesn't come from good marketing. It comes from making people feel like you see them. And Gaga has never stopped doing that. But what happens when the celebrity doesn't engineer a stunt, they engineer a heart-to-heart? That's exactly what the next pair attempted when the walls closed in. Will and Jada Pinkett Smith weaponizing transparency when rumors about Will and Jada's marriage started circulating in 2020. They had options. They could ignore it, deny it, let the tabloids run wild. Instead, they sat down at a table, turned on a camera, and had the conversation on their own terms. The Red Table Talk episode where Jada discussed her entanglement broke viewer records for the Facebook series. Critics called it calculated, fans called it brave. But whether you admired it or side-eyed it, one thing was undeniable: the story was being told by them, not about them. That's the fundamental goal of every PR strategy ever devised. The move was polarizing, which in today's media landscape is almost always more valuable than being liked. Polarizing content gets shared, argued about, and talked about long after the moment passes. By choosing transparency, even controlled, strategic transparency, Will and Jada kept the conversation in their living room instead of a gossip column. Love it or hate it, that's a power play. Not every celebrity needs a dramatic reveal, though. Sometimes the most powerful PR move ever made is a simple, sincere two-word sentence. Hugh Grant, The Art of Just Saying Sorry in 1995. Hugh Grant was arrested for lewd conduct in a public place. It was career-ending territory by any standard of the time. His response became a case study that PR professionals still reference 3 decades later. He didn't cancel appearances. He didn't hide behind lawyers or issue carefully worded non-apologies. He went on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Live with Regis and Kathy Lee, and CNN's Larry King Live, and he simply said, "I'm very sorry. No spin, no deflection, no excuses." Just a genuine, clean apology delivered to the biggest audiences possible. The public forgave him almost immediately. Within months, he was starring in 9 months, and his career rolled on without a scratch. What Grant accidentally discovered and what PR professionals have since cataloged is that audiences are remarkably forgiving when they feel a celebrity is being real with them. The more elaborate the people excuse, the more suspicious people become. Simplicity, sincerity, and accountability will outlast almost any scandal. From an apology that saved a career to a documentary that rebuilt one the next, Celebrity's Comeback is one of the most underrated image resets in recent Hollywood history. Pamela Anderson rewriting the story from scratch for decades. Pamela Anderson's public image was written by tabloids, by male journalists, by the entertainment machine that reduced her to a punchline. She barely got to speak. Then, in 2023, she did something quiet and devastating. She released a Netflix documentary. Pamela, a love story. No glam, no filters, no corporate messaging. Just Pamela, her journals, her real voice, and her actual life. The response was seismic. Audiences who had spent 30 years laughing at her suddenly found themselves crying with her. The documentary reframed everything: the tape, the marriages, the media coverage, and placed her firmly at the center of her own story. The image reset was so complete that it launched her into her most critically acclaimed phase of work yet, including a widely praised performance in The Last Showgirl in 2024. Anderson didn't hire a crisis team or launch a social media blitz. She simply told the truth in her own words, in her own time, and let the world catch up. That is one of the cleanest and most complete PR pivots in modern celebrity culture. The final celebrity on this list didn't need a comeback or a pivot. She just quietly built something so big that the story sold itself. Rihanna, the business empire, as the PR move. Rihanna's greatest PR achievement isn't a song, a concert, or even a halftime show. It's a billion-dollar empire that she built on her own terms, in plain sight, while the industry waited for her next album. When she launched Fenty Beauty in 2017 with 40 foundation shades, the industry called it risky. The market proved them catastrophically wrong. The brand made over $100 million in its first 40 days and sent every other beauty company scrambling to expand their shade ranges. She didn't just release a product, she exposed an industry-wide failure and positioned herself as the person who fixed it. That's not marketing. That's a movement. By the time she performed at the 2023 Super Bowl halftime show pregnant, in an all-red bodysuit with a mid-show Fenty product reveal, it wasn't just a performance. It was a brand event, a maternity announcement, and a cultural moment, all packaged into 12 minutes of television. Rihanna turned her silence on music into the loudest possible statement. I'm building something bigger than any song. And she was right. The bigger picture: 10 different celebrities. 10 completely different strategies. But one consistent thread runs through every single story on this list. None of them let someone else tell their story first. Whether it was through art, silence, shock, vulnerability, transparency, apology, documentary, courtroom drama, or commerce, each of these individuals identified the narrative being written about them and found a way to pick up the pen. Some did it by accident. Some did it with a team of professionals. Some did it alone in front of a camera with nothing but the truth. The real lesson isn't that PR wins, it's that whoever controls the story controls the outcome. In an age where the internet can destroy a reputation in hours, the celebrities who survive and thrive are the ones who understand that they are always the author, never just the subject. The question is whether you realize that before or after the headline drops.